Hello, guys. Welcome to my show, Azure Essentials. So, this is episode first of my show. My name is Habibur Rahman. I am a Microsoft certified solution developer. I am also C Shop Corner MVP. Currently, I'm working as a full stack developer. I have 7+ years of professional development experience. So, I will be hosting this show every Saturday. Okay. So, let's start this. Okay, so this is the agenda of our show. First of all, we will talk about Azure Tables, then integration with Azure Functions, and after all, we will discuss few real-world use cases. We will also implement this in Visual Studio so that you guys can learn how to leverage Azure Tables. And at the end, we will have a QA session and network session. So let's start this. First of all, what is Azure Table Storage? So basically, Azure Table Storage is a NoSQL data storage with schemaless and it's key-based data storage. It's very flexible to use and it is designed for scalability by Microsoft. It can handle large volume of data with million of transactions per second. It's a very cost-effective solution. You can use it very cheaper for large product projects. It's very high performance. It provides a million of transactions per second. It provides a very quick lookup. It's also a flexible data model as it's a NoSQL data model, so it can handle any type of data variations. It's very easy to integrate with Azure ecosystem. It provides a seamless integration, and then it's high available. High availability means Azure provide us geo redundant locations and it will be available 24/7 for you. And it is very easy to manage by Azure portal, or you can use REST APIs for managing these databases. Next, we have few pros and cons of Azure table storage. First of all, the main pro of Azure table storage is scalability. Azure Table is on massive scale. It can handle a lot of data. It can handle massive data like in GBs or in terabytes. Also, it provides automatic partitioning. Whenever you are storing your data inside Azure table, it automatically partition your data for better query. It is also cost effective. Azure provide you pay as you go plans, so you can pay as you are using the data. It also handle large data sets in very low price. It is very high performance database. It provide a very quick lookup. The data latency is very low, so it's very good for cloud fast database systems. Then it's flexible as it's NoSQL database. You can store your data inside your key attribute types. It's schema-less. It's very adaptable in any project. Its integration is very easy, in especially in Azure ecosystem. You want to integrate with is Azure Functions, or you want to integrate with any .NET application, it's very easy to use. Azure provide built-in SDKs and also provide REST APIs for communication, so you can use any of them. And then the availability. Azure Table Storage can be distributed globally, and it also provide a redundancy option, which means you can create duplication of your Azure table on multiple regions. So if any one of the region goes down, you don't have to be worried about your data. So this is all about the pros of Azure tables. Next, we have a few cons of Azure table query limitations. There are very few query limitations on Azure table storage. For example, you want to put a group by, or you want to put any aggregate function. That is not possible in Azure table storage. In Azure table storage, you first have to query your data and then you can apply all these functions. So these are few query limitations as compared to SQL databases. Then we have partition scans. So if you will search any data inside Azure table, it will scan that specific data from all available partitions. Okay, so which will cost you a lot of time, and it will decrease the performance of your data. Next, we have consistency, eventual consistency. Whenever you add or create or update any data inside Azure table, it is replicated on multiple origins at the same time. Okay, which means if anyone is accessing the data, there may be issue with the integrity of data. So this is one of the main cons of Azure table. Next, we have limited concurrency support. As you know that in other databases we have a very good currency support, but in Azure SQL, if two users are adding the same data at the same time, this may create few conflicts, and you have to manage them with few rules. But those rules are very limited. Then we have complexity in design, as this is a NoSQL database. So data modeling is a little bit complex and challenging, and you have to be very careful when designing the data. Then we have feature limitations. Azure table provide no transaction across partition. You can apply partition inside same partition, but you cannot apply transaction on different partitions of Azure table. So this is one limitation. Then we have limited community and third party support. Currently, I think so as compared to Microsoft SQL Server and other database technologies, uh, Azure Table have very limited support and community. So this may be an issue for you. Next, we have maintenance. Sometimes when we are inserting data inside our Azure table storage and data is growing day by day, and at the end we may face uneven distribution of data in Azure table partitions. So this requires proper maintenance and check and balance, and then we have to manually partitions the Azure table data. So this is one reason for that. Then there are a few real world cases where we can use Azure tables. One is IoT data integration and storage. Scenario is, for example, you have a lot of IoT devices which are sending different telemetry data. So you want a solution where your IoT devices can send data uh, seamlessly with very low response time. So then here you can use Azure tables. So what you can do, you can create Azure functions which will process the incoming data, and then you can store that data inside Azure table storage. So in this way, even you have million of IoT devices, then this solution can handle your problem. Next, we have user profile management. For example, you are working on a project and you want to manage user profiles in a web application. Then you can use Azure table. You can create Azure functions with HTTP trigger, which will handle your data, and you can perform CRUD operation on your Azure table storage. So there are a lot of use cases you can do, and two of them was that. Okay, so now our next session is moving toward the real world programming. So now I'm going to share my screen. Let me share that. Okay. I hope you can see my screen. Now let's go to Visual Studio. I have installed Visual Studio 2022. So let's create a new project.
Habib,
I will
sorry
create
to interrupt.
a project.
We can see your StreamYard, but we don't see your Visual Studio. You see, we see your
Okay.
StreamYard. Yeah.
Let me share it again. Maybe
Yep.
some technical issue. Okay, now I have shared my full screen. Can you see now?
Yes, I can. Maybe you want to click on that hide pop-up. The pop-up in the pop-up it says hide. Yeah, just click on. Yeah, you're good to
Yeah.
go.
Okay, that's great. Okay, first of all, we need to create a new project, and that project will be Azure Functions. Okay, so click on next button. I need to put any name for this project. I will create this project with name episode one, so that I can track my all episode codes and I will push this code on my GitHub so that every one can access this. Click on next button. Visual Studio is creating the project. Okay, next option is framework worker. So there are a lot of options available, but I will be going with .NET 8 because .NET 8 is the currently available long-term support project. And in .NET 8, Azure functions work in isolated process. So we are going to use isolated worker process model. Next, it is asking me for the first function with which HTTP trigger or with which function type you want to create. So I want to create an HTTP trigger. So I will select this. And then there is an option for Azure Write for runtime storage. As I'm developing this solution inside my Visual Studio, so I will be using Azure Simulator. So you check this option. Otherwise, you can use your Azure storage account from Azure panel. So next, we have authorization level, whether we want to authorize our function at function level or at anonymous level. So for now, I am going to select function. Let's create this project. Okay. Uh, Project have been created, and now you can see that episode one project. If I go through this project, the basic files. First of all, I have program.cs file. This is the entry point for my function when I will run my function. So first of all, it is setting the host builder, then configuring web applications. So these are built-in functions, extension functions provided by Microsoft. Then it's adding the support for telemetry insights, and then uh, configuring the application inside. So this is the entry point of my function. Then if I see we have local settings.json, you can use any JSON settings inside this. You can store here. And then we have our function. So this is the by default HTTP trigger function created by Visual Studio. So let's go through this. This is a class with a name. Then we have a function. So first of all, if you want to create a function in Azure, you have to put data annotation with function. So this will create an Azure function. Then you need to create a trigger. Basically, Azure functions are event based. So you have to use them with any type of event. Microsoft provide us different type of event, and one of them is HTTP trigger. We also have Q trigger, blob trigger, and a lot of other triggers are available. So you can use that. Then we have authorization level. Then we can specify whether this HTTP function is get or post. Then we have HTTP request. If I run this project, so that how it is looking in the starting. So okay, now console just opens and you can see that it's running my project. And this is the endpoint, the HTTP trigger that just created. So just click on this. Okay, now it is returning me the response, welcome to Azure function. And this URL is API/function one. Okay, so this is how basic Azure function look like. Our next step is how to write data inside Azure table. Okay, so for that, for example, I want to write student data inside my Azure table. So what I need to do? First of all, I will update my Azure function to, for example, insert student. So this model will be used for inserting student inside Azure table. Now I need to install few dependencies. So I will go to Nugget Package Manager, and here I will search for worker.extension.table. So this is the package that you need to install for working with Azure table inside Azure function. So click on accept. Okay, the package have been installed. Next option is binding my Azure function. So basically, Azure function provide us two types of binding. One is input binding and one is output binding. So if I want to write my data inside Azure table, I have to use output binding. So what I can do, I can put brackets here, and then inside that I will write output table. Spelling mistake, table output. Okay. Then inside table output, I have to provide two things. First of all, I need to provide table name, which I can say students, or I can say students table. I can put any name here. And then inside connection, I need to provide the app setting name, which is containing the Azure storage connection string. So for example, I'm going to say it dev. Later, this is basically app setting name. And inside this app setting name, I need to set my connection string for Azure table. So there is a very easy option for that. If you click on this, so basically, Azure already provide a connected service with storage Azurite emulator. Basically, Azurite emulator provide us storage account emulator. So you can use Azure Q, Azure Blob, and Azure Tables emulator for developing inside your Visual Studio. So I can update this connection string name to dev, and the connection string value is use development storage. So whenever I will specify use development storage, it will automatically connect with Azurite emulator. Okay. So and do not save anywhere. Next and finish. It is giving me one error. Okay. Uh, let's check it. Okay. Basically, this connected service automatically create few other functions which I don't require. So I'm going to delete this. These functions are giving error, and this function. So it automatically create blob trigger function. Okay, that's it. Next thing is I need to create a model, a data model that I want to save inside my Azure table. So let me create a new model. First, I will put it inside my models table, create a new class for this, and this class will be named student model, or I can just say it's student. I can say it's student entity. Okay, so this is student entity. Now, the first thing which we need is we need to inherit it from iTable entity. So iTable entity is basically an interface. This interface belongs to Azure.data.tables package, and we have to implement it. Just click and implement interface. Okay. Now this interface provides four things. First of all, partition key. This is the partition key value that you can use for creating different partition. For example, you want to partition your male and female students separately. So you can use this partition key. Next, we have row key. Row key is just like your primary key for your function as we have in relational databases. So inside this, you have to use row key for identifying specific student inside Azure table. So currently this is not implemented, so I will update it to my letter setter. And then we have timestamp. Timestamp is basically the time when we are creating or updating this Azure table. And then we have e tag. E tag basically is a metadata field which you can use for storing different metadata values. So I'm going to make them empty so that I can remove the warning. So now I have created my student entity. Now I will use this student entity for uh, connecting with Azure table. Now move to my function one, which is basically insert student. I already have created output binding for this table. Now I need to update this iAction result to my student entity. And here I will return a new student entity. So whenever I will return this new student entity, as this is an output binder, this will automatically save my data inside my Azure table. So here I also need few custom properties for my students. So I will put them here. For example, I have student name and I have student email. I will mark them empty as well by default value. Okay. Here I need to save my values in starting. Later on, I will get them from HTTP request body. I will say this, for example, Habib, and then email is testhabib at the gmail.com. I need row key. So row key can be any new grade. Sorry guys, I just disconnected from the internet and there was some issue. So I'm back. Can you guys tell me where you lost me? On which topic? It will be good.
I cannot actually, Habib, but we lost you only for 5 minutes, for less than 5 minutes.
Okay, okay, okay. Let me go through a little in past. So I was talking about in Azure table, if I want to save any data, I have to create a model. So this model is any C# class and you have to inherit it from iTable entity. So this iTable entity interface belongs to Azure data tables. Then this table entity provide us four properties. One is partition key. Partition key is basically the value on which we want to partition what data. Then we have row key. Row key is just like any primary key or any unique key we have inside our data. Then we have timestamp and e tag. So next step was to bind this entity with our Azure function. So I made this as a return type for my Azure function, and then I created a new instance of student entity and returning to this function. Now what will happen? This table output binder will automatically write my data inside Azure table. So I also had tested this uh, in previous, but let's test it again. Okay, this my Azure function is working, and if I click on this and continue this, so there is no error, which means my data have been saved inside Azure table. So next step is how to retrieve this data inside HTTP trigger and show to the user. So I will create a new function for this, and I will name this function get all male students. For example, I want to get data on the type of partitions. After this annotation, I need to create new function, and this function will be basically I action result get all male students. Okay. Now inside this function, I also need to bind it with HTTP trigger. Basically, any function needs to be triggered by something, and as this will be only get function, then this will be my HTTP request. Here I need to return OK object result. Let's see what error is coming. It is giving me okay. I got one mistake. Okay, and I can put any data here. Now, if I want to access my data from Azure table, I need to create a binder. That binder is basically input binder for Azure table. So I will say it table input, and inside this table input, I need to give it table name. Table name is students table, and then I need to give it property key. As you can see that there are four function available: table name, partition key, row key. But I want to fetch only data with partition key, and I will give it mail. Basically, this function will only get male students, and then row key, but I will not, and I will not get specific data. As I want to take multiple data, so I will use this function. Then I need to specify connection. And inside this connection, I need to give it the app setting name, which is storing my connection, and that name is dev. And then I need to create an I enumerable because I will get a list of students, and inside this I enumerable, the data model will be student entity. And here I will create it. Okay. Next, I need to return this OK object result with my students data. So for example, I will directly put it here. Okay, that's it. Uh, Create a breakpoint here. Let's run this function and see whether this is fetching data from. Okay, now you can see that another function is running with name get all student and it is giving me 500. So let's see what is the error. Okay. It is giving me storage account connection saying Azure job dev does not exist. There is something wrong with my connection name. Okay, let's check it thoroughly. What may be wrong? Let's go to Azure right. Uh, okay, it just automatically updated. I don't know the reason. Uh, Let me use this name instead of the dev. So date it on fourth level. Okay, let's run it again and see. We already have opened it inside my browser. So now this is triggering the function for insert and now check get all mail students. So something wrong with the URL. The name is get all mail student. Okay, now you can see that my Azure function is returning me all the mail students data. The data is same because I have hard coded this inside my Azure function, but you can see that the row key is different. Okay, now let me create an HTTP request body inside insert student so that I can post any data inside my Azure table. So after this, I will annotate it from body and then I need to specify student entity, the model that I want to get, and I will say it student. Okay. After that, I will be returning this entity as it is, and I'm also setting the student row key here randomly so that I have don't have to provide from front end. I will also remove the get method from this because now I'm reading the data from the body of my HTTP request. I also need to update this from body attribute because currently it is getting from body of ASP.NET MVC, but I need to use it from Azure function. So you can see that there are two available. So I'm going to use it. I'm going to use this Microsoft Azure Function Worker HTTP. So I will specify here Microsoft Azure Functions Worker HTTP dot from body. The reason why I have to specify the full name is because the names for both from body attributes are same inside these both references. So that's why I have to make it explicitly. Okay, now let's run this and let's copy the URL for insert student to my postman let's update this to HTTP post. Inside body, I have JSON. So inside JSON, I will say I have okay, guys, welcome back. So I was talking about how to test this function using Postman. So inside Postman, I have created a new request. I make it HTTP post, and then inside body, I put by all the values. Then after sending the request, so I just received my request inside my HTTP trigger function. So now let's check whether my student is getting properly data or not. So you can see that partition key, name and email are coming here. So let's click on next button. My row key have been generated. And if I continue, okay, it is giving me 200. So if I check this data inside my other API, let's remove the breakpoint. So you can see that a new item have been created inside Azure table. So this is how you can leverage your Azure table inside Azure functions. So there are a lot of stuff available on Microsoft website which you can use if you search Azure table uh, binding for Azure function. So this is the official page where you can learn more about Azure functions working with Azure tables. So you can see there is available for both input and output bindings. So you can learn more things about these bindings from Microsoft Functions. So I think that was it from my side, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. Sorry for the internet interruption, and next time I will try to improve that. If you guys have any question, you can ask me in comments. Otherwise, inshallah, show you